Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. Jason here, and today I have a solo playthrough for this very unique game, Stonewall Uprising. This one is for 1 to 2 players, an historical-based game which depicts the struggle of the LGTBQ community to gain civil rights in America through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. In this solo playthrough, we're going to be playing the pride side versus the man side, which is trying to deny, restrict, and take away those civil rights. So please be aware, there is a content warning for this video. It deals with adult themes such as homophobia, the AIDS epidemic, and mental illness. It has a very explicit perspective in terms of its cultural and social and political outlook. So if that is not what you come to the gaming table for, here at the One Stop Co-op Shop, we have a very wide tent. Please go on and enjoy the many videos that we have of many other games. All are welcome. In Stonewall Uprising, you are going to be playing a deck building game. You're going to have a deck of cards to begin, which depicts people and events in the movement. You're going to be competing against the bot card play one at a time, affecting these tracks, tug of war style, representing the temperature, the conversation going on in the country, how much it supports or does not support LGBTQ rights. For the most part, what the pride side is going to try to do is acquire these dice. The more dice we acquire, the more we can push ourselves closer to our victory condition. While the man is going to try to take our cards away from us, and if they can get 10 cards into this demoralized zone over here, then they will win the game. But before we get into the solo playthrough, let's talk about the One Stop Co-op Shop. You're on the YouTube channel. We also have our YouTube stream channel. Please make sure you subscribe to both of those outlets and like the videos that you enjoy. We have our podcast, which we talk about games, new and old, discussions, interviews, available on your favorite podcast feed. We have our Discord, which is a great community, active 24 hours, very safe, very excited about all sorts of games, solo and co-op. The link to join it is in the show notes below, and it is completely free. We also have our Patreon, which lets us keep the tech upgraded and the games in front of the table. In exchange for a contribution, you would get exclusive access to tiers in the Discord, as well as videos from all the One Stop Co-op Shop contributors. We are the One Stop Co-op Shop, your one stop for solo and cooperative gaming goodness. Stonewall Uprising has a very streamlined rule set, so let me go ahead and give the briefest of overviews before we get into it. So we're going to start with a hand of 5 cards, deck builder style. For the most part, the most important part of these cards mechanically are these numbers and the colors in which they occur. On my turn, I'm going to be playing cards to try to influence the society. We have these 3 tracks over here representing systemic support, public support, and individual. Here is the influence on the pride side, and here it is on the establishment side. So as I play cards, I'm going to play 1 card per turn. So let's say I play this one, Liberal Ideas. I have a 1 red. So I'm going to play that 1 red and move my influence over 1 space. Turns go by very quickly. There will be a response from the solo bot. In this particular case, I would consult the era in which I was playing. So I have 60s, 70s, and 80s. I'll talk about progressing eras in a little bit. But for the 60s, it is 1 progress towards the systemic support on their side. And then I will consult whatever the text is, which is if an individual support is on the man's side, +1. So individual support is not on the man's side, at least for now. So then it would move back 1, and that would be my turn again. Very simple card play. In general, in terms of my strategic decisions, I'm trying to figure out what the bot is doing and wonder if I let them say they're moving on the blue track. Do I want to play cards that will play a little bit of defense, or do I want to calculate and go for my own goals? I'm measuring that on every single turn. Every time one of the characters reaches this end zone, so let's say I'm playing with individual support and I'm able to land on either this 1 or this 3 or anywhere in this area. I stop right there and I execute some kind of effect and then move back to the middle of the area, the start space. So constantly I'm trying to move my pawn and trying to get to the point where I can play on the most advanced end zone status as possible and then set up for more. Every time any player hits the end zone, they will track their progress on the event track. In the 60s, there will be 3 events, and then in the 70s and 80s, there will be 5. So let's say I was able to hit that event track. These are double-sided. I would score myself here. And then if the bot scores themselves throughout the 60s, and then hopefully I'm able to get that 3rd event. At the end of that round, then I would assess who won, in this particular case, me, and then I would trigger an event, and it's usually a good thing for the 1960s, but if it was a dastardly bot that got 2 of the events, then it would trigger its solo bot event, but there's only one of those, and then move on, and then it would be 3 out of 5 for the 70s and 80s. In terms of advancing my actual win condition, that would be the public support and the individual support. As I move into the end zone here, I'm able to do what the game calls move the Overton window down. So in political discourse, the Overton window is a concept that says what is allowable discussion in society. So there are times where the Overton window is shifted to the point where we can't even talk about it. Don't talk about gay rights, gay marriage, any of that kind of stuff. And then there are times where it's much more open discussion. So that game tracks that with this tracker. So then as I go here, let's say I'm able to play a card that lands this marker on the 3. I would reset to the middle, and then I would lower the Overton window. And as the bot gets public support, they would move the Overton window up. For the player, this will combo with this. So as I gain public support, which is really hard, but you get a very valuable die. You saw those dice that I began the game with. So then depending on where I land over here, I can get a D4, D6, D8, or D10, and then I acquire them and roll. And if I get to a point where I roll the number that matches or exceeds the number on the Overton window, then I would win. So the game is going to be a combination of lowering this to the point where I can get enough dice to roll, or just getting a whole bunch of dice and rolling wherever the Overton window is. Yes, it is possible to get the Overton window down to 0 and not have to roll dice at all. So for those inclined that are afraid of dice rolls, you have that option. The opposition bot is trying to detain people as you do that. They can either do that by gaining systemic support, detaining people depending on where they land over here, or they're going to have solo cards that says detain 1 person. When the man detains someone, they are going to dig through your discard. You can actually choose which one you want to give, or they play off of the top deck, which is devastating, could get a really good card, and they put them here. You can rescue them as the Pride player by gaining systemic support. So if there's a really important card in that detain file, then you can focus here and try to undetain them, which means reacquire them into your discard. But if the bot, through various game effects, is able to demoralize people, then they go into this area and they stay here. And once the bot gets 10 cards in here, then they will win their game. For the most part, you are going to have your 5 cards, and you can play your 5 cards, affect the tracks, and be done. Or you can do what the game calls folding, a highly strategic decision when you do it, because there's good things and bad things. So 2 bad things happen. First of all, when you fold, you will move 1 marker of the opponent towards their side of the track. Also, for the rest of that round, the opponent will be able to play their cards for double their value. So you do not want to fold too early. However, you do get some benefits. For each card played by the opponent, the folding player will get to draw extra cards on their next turn. So if you fold and the opponent plays 2 cards, then the Pride player will be able to get +2 and draw extra cards on their next turn. The other thing you get is the ability to buy cards in the market, for which you need cards in your hand. So the costs are here, 2, 4, and 6, and I can buy cards that are along there. They're going to coordinate with 60s, 70s, and 80s. So as I am in the 60s, I'll buy these cards, but then I go to the 70s, I would discard whatever is here and have access to these more powerful cards below. But let's say I ended my turn with 3. I could use this 2 in order to purchase one of these 2 cards. If I only have 2 cards in hand, then I get them on the top of my deck. I have a whole bunch of cards in my hand, then I have to get them into the discard. Basically saying they want you to play your cards. They want you to get these cards early and play them as fast as possible. The bot folding works a little bit differently because they do not purchase cards. This solo deck is everything that the bot is ever going to play with. They instead have these hand cards. So then I have the hands over there that are 2. Then I play another card that's 3. Once they get to 4 hands, then they initiate their fold and they push whatever token is on the last card played, depending on this symbol. So once the bot fold, then my cards would be worth double. I'd be able to play them. They would get their version of the draw token, get those extra cards for next turn. So that back and forth is still there, just flipped on its other side. Once again, the game progresses as I get to the end zones on different tracks and trigger these events. I will open up the different eras. All along the way, the bot is trying to acquire cards and demoralize them. If they get to 10, they win. But if I can acquire enough dice, roll them, and match the number on the Overton window, then Pride will win. All right, I think that's enough. Let's get to it. All right, we are ready to begin. Here is the first player marker. It begins on the family value side, which means the bot goes first. It will flip back and forth, gay, proud, and angry, and then back to family values. So let's go ahead and pull for the bot. One play. Systemic supporting increased on their side by 1. If public opinion is on the man's side, move the Overton window up 1. Public opinion or public support, I think that's the same thing. So then it is clearly on the man's side. So then the Overton window goes up 1. It is more difficult to discuss LGBTQ rights in the society, unfortunately, and they get their one bit of systemic support. That's like laws and courthouses and all that kind of things. How are the people going to respond? We have our 5 cards. As you can see, I'm a little bit heavy on individual support. So then I have 1 card with a power, Frank Kameni. If public support is on your side, move the Overton window down by 1. So there's public support. It's in striking distance. If I play this card, I would get the extra benefit. So let's do it. Let's go ahead and play LGBTQ awareness article in Life magazine, which will move public support over to the Pride side. Now the bot has a nasty habit of undoing what I do. Let's see if they do that. Yeah, boy howdy. They just yank public support back. They released their own article in Life magazine or one of their old periodicals, but they do fold because this is a card that is worth 3 hands. So that is the fold condition right there. So that means that because they fold it, this systemic support moves back to its original position towards me. All right, so here is the strategy of the game. Here are my 4 cards. Bot folded nice and early. If I play one of these cards, I would get double the value, but I would give the bot this, which is drawing an extra card on its turn, which could screw me. But if I can make it worth it, which I think I can, let's go ahead and play 2 cards. So we're going to play the Mattachine Society. There you go, Mattachine Society. Why not? My LGBTQ history is not as boned up as other parts. So I'm actually excited about this game. I'm learning stuff. So then I gain 2 support for that card play. However, the bot does get 1. You'll see this when I scroll back down to the bot that is on top of their deck. That's a free play for them. And now I'm going to play Frank Kameni. So they can't take advantage of the Overton window support. However, it is 2, which is a doubled and 4. So I like that because it does this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It hits a more powerful part of the end zone, which is great in the first part of the game. So then it gets reset to S, and then I get to move the Overton window down 5. People are very into what Frank Kameni is saying. He is opening the Overton window for us to talk about LGBTQ rights a little bit more in the society. Fantastic. It does come at a cost. The bot will play another card, but the fact that I got the Overton window down and the fact that I get a nice early lead on the event track for hitting the end zone once, all I need is to hit another one, and then I will have the positive event. So I kind of like how all that worked out trade-off wise. All right, so I have 2 cards left. You have to discard your cards, so you might as well use them. So then I got 2 currency from these 2 symbols right there, and I could buy one of these 2 cards. So we have the civil disobedience, which is worth 2 public support. And if systemic support is on my side, detain 1 person. Am I going to do a lot of systemic supporting? We'll see about that. Marsha P. Johnson. If individual support is on your side, move the Overton window down by 1. So I like moving the Overton window down. Public support is a nice little boon. And just on a thematic level, Marsha Johnson is kind of a local hero in where I'm from, New York. Go ahead and look them up if you don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and acquire Marsha Johnson. And because I only had 2 cards in my hand, she goes to the top of my deck, not the bottom, so you will see them next turn. All right, so I am going to draw my 5 cards, including Marsha Johnson. Where did they go? They are right there. And I got a little bit more public support, and I have a lot of, actually, I have a decent amount of public support now. That's pretty nice news for me. Get some dice going. But because of these 2 cards, or these 2 tokens, they pull 2 free cards. before I'm able to go as the first player next turn. What is the man going to do to me? They are going to increase systemic support. This would ordinarily matter during the normal course of play. They have the empty, so that means they can play extra cards, but they're going to discard that. So that's not a bad card to get right now. And we have 1 individual support. I had just reset that. And if systemic support is on the man side, +1. Is it on the man side? Absolutely. They are influencing the individuals around by passing laws that are anti-LGTBQ. So we're going to go ahead and discard those and proceed with the turn. So let's try to get individual support on my time with Harry Hay. Over +1. What does the bot do? They are going to increase their systemic support. And if the overturn window is 35+, which is pretty hard for them to do, but if I ignore it, they can do it easily, then it is a +1. So I don't have to worry about that. It just does that. Let's do it. Let's show out. Have more little organizations at the library. Just meet people where they are. Show them that the LGBT community is human, just like you and me and everybody. So then we are going to increase individual support again, which turns individual support to the pride side overall. Let's see if the bot gets in my way yet again. No. They are going to detain somebody. All right, so they increase the systemic support by 2. Or they increased for them by 2. If the overturn window is 30+, which it is not, then that will be another 1. That'd be terrible. But as it is, they have 3 hands, and they have the ability to detain 1 person. So that'll get reset. They will get an event, so I need to get that 3rd event somehow in order to do what I need to do. That's their event tracker right there. And they will detain 1 person. I can take 1 person out of my deck. So let's go ahead and take Janus Society and put them here. Now I could rescue them with certain cards and increasing the systemic support. I chose Janus Society because I do not want to put one of my 2s in there. That would nerf my deck too much. We'll see if I get to rescuing Janus Society. So now I'm in position to get the maximum benefit from Marsha Johnson. So then if individual support is on my side, move the overturn window down by 1. Every little bit counts. This is a game of inches, tug of war. So the overturn window goes down because individual support is on my side. And they get to move public support towards the pride side. Marsha Johnson, you are a superstar. The bot responds. They would move systemic support up 2. I can discard a card to ignore the above number. So the card does get played, and this is their fold, so they are going to move the individual support towards me. So then I can discard a card in order to negate that and not have that progress. So that seems like a no-brainer to me. I'm not sure, but we're going to do it. We're going to discard this card to save 2 progress on there, which leaves me with 1 card that I can play for double because they have officially folded. Let's do it. So we're going to play that 1 card and set myself up for a big strike, maybe get into the D8 territory or better. And end the turn. That is going to give the bot 1 card draw, but I think it's one of those things. You have to measure it. You have to see if it's worth it or not. I think it is in that case. All right, so we have the +1 card for the bot's turn this 3rd round. I have drawn my hand out to reshuffle my deck. I got a lot of powerful cards and also cycled the LGTBQ awareness. Hopefully the bot doesn't mess me up before I do what I want to do. Family Values is going to reign the day. Their extra card play, this one is going to get discarded, is going to move systemic support +1. They've been really nailing those laws all over the country where those state houses are passing laws that are not friendly to our cause. Now this card is going to stay. Oh no. Oh no. They're right there. If they had gotten into the end zone here, which there are cards that are 3, they would have gotten that 2nd event and they would have pulled their event. So that's not good news at all. So I'm going to take that as a flag, and I'm going to play this card as my first card of the turn, which is why I played the 1 last time. That gets me in range. I get to hit the end zone. So then that allows me to acquire 1 die. Let's go ahead and roll it. It is a 3, if you can see that. Now it is in my dice pool. Once again, if this, whatever's in this dice pool, and there's going to be a bunch of dice by the end, equals what's in the overturn window, then I win. So I have a lot of work to do. But the important part is I was able to complete the event track for the 60s. This will reset at the end of the round, so I have a round to mess around with the tracks. So then what I did was, the bot only has 3 events, so the 60s, this would have happened had the bot gotten to systemic support. They would have moved the Overton window up by 4, negating a lot of my hard work, but we don't have to worry about that. At the end of the round, I will pull one of these 3 good events, and that will shape my game moving forward. Let's see what the bot does in response yet again. Just passing those laws. So they are going to detain another person, and they're going to reset back to S. They do not get credit for the event because it is the end of the round and that event tracker is full. By the way, Overton window is 35 plus. Worked hard on that to not be the case. They fold. They give me 1 support in green. And oh, by the way, this should have reset all the way back to that token. All right, so now they're going to detain somebody. Because the discard is empty, they do it from the top of the deck. If it is Marsha Johnson, you know I'm going to bust back into that jail and rescue them because they're so important. Is it? Okay, good. The Matachine Society, I don't know. I might have to just leave them there because there's so much stuff to do. I could absolutely get in there if I wanted to rescue them. Then I would just play these 2 cards. That would bring me to here, and that would bring me all the way to here so I can rescue everybody that's in there. But I'm just going to have to make sacrifices. A, that's good for my deck culling-wise because it takes some of the ones out. B, I have other things I need to do. I want to buy something. So I'm just going to play 1 card. I will play Del Martin and Phyllis Leon. They look beautiful. Okay, so we're going to play them right there. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Get to the 3 threshold on the Overton window. So that is 24, 23, 22, which I've been doing this a lot, but I think it's worth it. I give the bot 1 more play for next round, which gives me the chance to buy a cost 6 card. So then we're going to go ahead and discard all of those, putting them at risk of being detained by the bot because they're in the discard. But let's go ahead and buy Universal Liberalism. So this is a systemic support, so that's okay. Here's the good stuff. Move the Overton window down by 2, unconditional. You see I'm playing a game where I'm moving the Overton window down. I don't have to play that type of game, but this happens to be how my game's coming together. So let's go ahead and acquire that into my discard because I had spent 3 cards. If I had spent 1 or 2, it would go on the top of my deck. So we resolve the end phase. Let's go ahead and move these off. And now it is 3 out of 5 for the 70s and 80s. So now I pull 1 of 3 events for the 60s. Let's go ahead and pull the top card here. It is a Stonewall Riots. Look at that. Namesake of the game. Place 2 retaliation dice on up to 2 cards in the man's market. If they buy any of these cards, add those place dice to your dice pool. So there's a one-time effect, and all of them have an ongoing effect. This decade, all bought cards go on top of your deck. Ooh, sweet. In multiplayer, the man has their own set of cards that they can purchase. So then I would put these 2 D4 on those cards. Kind of a disincentive for the opposition player to buy certain cards. This particular case just goes on the track, and they've been nailing systemic support. I don't have a lot of systemic support in my deck, so I anticipate once that triggers, bam, I go get those, roll them, and they add them to my dice pool. The last thing that happens to transition to the 70s is that I take all the cards that I did not purchase from the 60s and discard them from the market. So now I have a whole new, generally more powerful set of cards to purchase from the 70s. So now I begin the 70s. It is my go, gay, proud, and angry, but I keep on giving the bot extra plays. And now they're going to use more powerful sections, which is the 70s. So you see this would have been 1. Now they move public support or individual support over 3. Blech. They also check to see if they are under 25, which I've been working on over to window, so I don't get that. But they do move the personal 1, 2, or individual support over 3. That's nasty. Now, I might be taking a big risk over here. I pulled my hand. I knew I was going to get weak cards, and boy howdy, are these a bunch of weak cards. I can't even use the advanced action on Frank Kameny because I can't even get public support to where I want it to be. So I'm going to fold. So then I just, I have 6 here, so I can buy a card that costs 6, but I let the bot have some free reign. In exchange, they give me extra draw at the beginning of next turn. I have better cards coming, so I'm making a calculation. Hopefully the bot doesn't do too much damage to me while I am away. Let's see what happens. They get the 1. Oh, that's actually pretty good. So then it is 1 if systemic support is on the man side, which it is, then +1. So then this is 2, and then it would double, I believe. So the whole thing doubles. If it was a number that was in the box right over here, it would not double, but I believe anything else outside the box doubles. So that seems pretty nasty. I'm going to play it that way. It is what it is. So we're going to go to 4. It does move the overturn window up by X. X is 1. So it just goes there. It's going to move the overturn window back towards it. Most importantly, they get an event. The first of the events they get for the 70s. This is the risk. So I put myself in a good position next turn to do some damage because I get this one for my deck. But if they pull the right card, they can get another event just straight up, especially if they pull individual support. That is no good. And so they are going to end their round, but they're going to do the same thing. So then it is 2. That is doubled. If the individual support is on the man side, detain 1 person. So that is just all sorts of bad for me. It's going to go over here and then move. It's going to move the overturn window up by 1 again. All right, so a bunch of things happen. First of all, I get another card draw for them playing that turn. Second of all, they do detain a person. So then they are going to go into my discard and get one of these. So I could not, even though I folded, put those in my discard. Technically, I believe the cards don't get actually discarded from my hand until the end of the market phase. All right, that's whatever. It's fine. I need those cards anyway. So they are going to take one of these. Man, there's a lot of good ones here, but we're going to have to just pick one. They now have 3 cards detained. And then, most devastatingly, they are going to get their second event. So I need to get on my horse, or at least mitigate the damage, and then do something for my next turn. I have no idea how I'm going to make up that distance. I've never done that before, so let's see if that works out for me. The benefit, though, aside from the card draws, I have my 6, and so I'm going to draw this. Leonard Matlovich. So then, Leonard Matlovich was a gay man in the U.S. Air Force with a sterling record. He admitted to being gay to challenge the military's ban. I could be reading all of this flavor text. There's so much good flavor text, but I don't want to weigh the playthrough down. Enjoy that on your own. So, because I have the Stonewall riots, this one gets to be put on top of my deck. So during that extra card draw, I am going to draw that right at the beginning. I get that guarantee. Let's see if it works out for me. All right, so with that extra card draw, this is what was left in my deck. Good old Marsha P. and Leonard Maltovich. Lots of public support, so I'm probably going to be getting dice. And I drew those 4 cards, so I got 7 in total. Lots of room to work. But the man is the first player, so they are going to go, and they're going to do something devastating. Oh, no. So they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to detain 3 people, which is perfect for them because that's exactly how many people were in the area. All right, so there's a bunch of terribleness that will happen. First of all, they get their 3rd event for the 70s. I really hope what I did was worth it. I know what the event is because the event is same for the bot every single time, and they're going to, at the end of the round, detain 4 of my people. So it's going to be the people that are in my hand, which there are a couple of good ones, but at least I can choose. Anyway, so then we have these 3 cards right there. They are going to be detained or demoralized, actually. So they're out of the game. They are sad and depressed that their man and all the society has just, frustrated their ability to just live as human beings. So they are here. And if they get 10, the bot gets 10 of those, then I lose. So with all that badness, there was one silver lining. Individual support got reset to the beginning, which is the pride side. So that lets me play Marsha Johnson. Oh, I welcome. Love this one. So if individual support is on my side, which it now is, move the overturn window down by 1. Starting to recover and get my public support up to a more advantageous spot. So now the bot goes. They are just going to shut it down. They are going to move that back to the beginning spot, and they are going to fold. So now I have 6 cards. They're worth double. But each time I play, I give the bot an extra card draw. And oh, by the way, they do move individual support this way for folding. So I need to decide how much do I really want to play these cards and milk them for as much as they're worth as possible. All right, I'm going to play 2 cards. So we have Frank Kemeny. I won't be able to use the public support option because it's all the way over here. But I like the idea of going 1, 2, 3, 4 and move the Overton track down to 20. Bam! That gives the bot +1 card draw next turn. I get an event, but the event doesn't matter because the bot struck real hard. The other one, you knew I was going to play it. It is going to be Leonard Matlovich. Sure. So then they are doubled. So that's 10. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is a D8. I just missed the D10. Could have played an extra card, but I don't want the bot to have too much card draw. The Overton window is at 20, so I'm not quite in range, but I'm getting close. I rolled a 7, so that is 10. I need a couple more dice or to lower the Overton window. I'm close, but so is the bot. They get a second card draw for the next round. I have 6 left, so we are going to purchase a card, and because it is the 70s, still the 70s, it is going to go on top of my deck. Pride Parades, more individual support, more dice. And yeah, this one from the 80s, that is indeed Dr. Anthony Fauci. The same Dr. Anthony Fauci that you may remember from COVID made his name during the time of the AIDS crisis, which we will get into when we hit the 80s in a couple of minutes. I did get 2 events out of that, but because the bot had gotten there 3 before, it doesn't matter. And we are going to just go ahead and reset for the 80s. And because of the event, they're going to detain 4 of my cards. I made sure that it was 4 of my weaker cards with no effects. These are starter cards. Let's go ahead and put those in there. I may save them, I may not, depending on how the game works out. So content warning for the 1980s in particular. It was a very difficult time for the gay community because of the AIDS epidemic, aka the gay plague, or whatever the man or the establishment was saying about that particular epidemic. It was not a great scene. The game does model that. So this is not something to take super lightly. So then I do have the 80s cards, and you see like there's the aid quote that mentioned Dr. Anthony Fauci. The CDC's really stepped up in terms of that whole area. So a lot of bigger effects. You see the numbers are a lot bigger. And also the AIDS death tracker comes into play. This doesn't play in directly with the winning and losing, but the solo deck will do things depending on where this tracker is, and some of my cards will as well. So I'm playing a very swingy game with a lot of extra card draw. I don't know if that's how it's done, but I'm doing the best I can. So now the bot is going to execute their very, very powerful cards, and they're going to do so for free, at least these 2. So then they're going to increase systemic support by 2. They're going to reduce or increase individual support by 4 for them, and +1 AIDS death. And then they're going to play another card. They are going to increase, there it is, individual support on their side by 3. 1, 2, 3. So they're going to detain 3 people, and they also get +2 on this track as well. Told you I was a little bit heavy. That's what the content warning was for at the beginning of the playthrough. So they are going to demoralize 3 people that are detained. I get to choose which ones. So then they are 6 out of 10 progressed towards that goal, and there's 1 card over here. All right, so well, first of all, I got this card at some point, so then let's go ahead and use it. We're going to go ahead and move the Overton window down by 2 and move systemic support to the starter space. The bot is going to reprise, and it's always bad. In the 80s, the swings are massive. Speak of. So then it is going to move 5, and if there are 8 plus AIDS death, Pride loses. So you see how this track will interact with the solo deck, but it's nice and early, so I don't have to worry about it right now. But -5 is basically they're going to detain people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going to detain 2 people out of my discard, actually. And that's, unfortunately, I have a lot of noteworthy characters in there, including Marsha P. No, Marsha P. No. I got to go save you. One piece of good news out of that is, remember these? I'm going to go ahead and put those in a more noteworthy place right there. And I get to add that to my pool. One thing I did not do last time was roll all the dice. Once any die hits the pool, you roll all of those dice. The Overton window is at 18. See if I can come anywhere close. 10. Getting there. I'm going to play liberal ideas. I'm going to get myself in striking distance of on the systemic support track. See what the bot does. The bot is going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and they do 1, 2, and then just the age track is just going to be going up and up and up. They get another Overton window. They move the Overton window up away from me by 1, and they get their second event token. I knew this was going to happen, so it may not have been the right strategy to punt on giving them the 70s. It's very hard to take it away from the 80s. So don't know if I'm going to revisit this strat in future games. We'll see. Let's play some defense over here. We're going to play Pride Parades. Increase that public support. Who doesn't love a good parade? The bot. The bot does not love a good parade. So it moves back 4. We go round and round. It goes back there. Good thing I undid that support. We're going to demoralize one person. I'll get to that in a second, and move this tracker up again. I don't know how many cards that interact with the solo bot. I may have gotten either the only one or one of the only ones, so that's not the worst thing in the world game-wise. Theme-wise, yeah, I know. The bot does fold, and it does move individual support to me, and if I do play another card, it would be worth double, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're going to take these 2 cards. I have 4 currency, and then I'm going to buy a cost 4 card that is going to be Act Up. When I buy this card, move the S token 1 space for every 2 AIDS deaths. What is the S token? I'm glad you asked. So I was supposed to have placed that at the beginning of the 80s and putting it right now. That is the S token. That is the start place, and it is variable depending on what cards I get. So then when I buy this card, move the S token up for 1 space for every 2 progress on the age track. So that is 5 progress. So we're going to go 1, 2. So now that is the new start space for public support, which helps me. Let me not forget they did detain somebody. So Marshall P, you are saved. We're just going to detain this starter card. Let's go ahead just to keep track of how many cards are in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, so close either way. And so deck builder style, I'm going to go ahead and draw these 2 cards. I'll draw these 3 cards from my hand, including this one Act Up that I just acquired, reshuffle, and then I drew some good cards, or at least 1 good card and 1 starter card. The odds are for that. Unfortunately, it is the bots go first. Let's see what they do to me. It has been terrible the whole time. They are going to lower public support by 3, 1, 2, 3, but nothing more than that for now. So then we are going to play this Act Up card. It is worth 4 public or systemic support. We're going to 1, 2, 3, 4. I undetain somebody. I wonder who that's going to be. Welcome back, March P. In my disco pile. Yes! I want to come back for 1 more turn against the man. And it is, unfortunately, a good thing I got her out of there. Demoralize 2 persons, +1 on the age tracker, which brings them to 6. So unfortunately, Frank Kemeny is going to lose heart. I will defend you, Frank, but I was able to get Marsha out of there before that happened. They are at 8 demoralized. Let's see. Come on. I'm so close. All right, so let's play the best card I have. Good old Leonard. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get ourselves a D4. I didn't have any other way to influence the public support track, so I couldn't arc my way up, but that's going to have to do. And I stay in the pride side here, which is really, really important. So now I get another D4. It is mathematically possible that I could get 19, but I'm not holding out my hope for it. Just want to do the best that I can. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 out of 19. That's not bad. I'm getting close. See what I get. They're probably going to end. Yep, they're going to end. So they get the fold symbol. There are cards with none. That would be terrible. All right, 4. That's not so great. If public opinion is on the man's side, which it is not, thanks to the S. Thank goodness. But then there is, I think those are connected events. So you do the second part of that either. So it's just the 4. So we're going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to get this. Oh, fantastic. Let me go ahead and actually, before I take care of all the other effects, let me go ahead and take care of this now. This may be the win. That thing I did 20 minutes ago, maybe it gets me the win. That is a lot of D4s. Come on. I have to hit 19. Okay, so 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Am I closer than last time? I think I'm the same as last time. I will see. There's lots of ways to get rerolls. I'm working on it. They do, however, progress this public support one, and I'm just going to fold. I'm not going to give the bot any other plays, and I do get the first play of the next round. I know what card is coming, so I think I'm going to set myself up for some victory. Let's see what happens. First of all, I have 4, so I'm going to do this again. I'm going to buy the same card, which is Act Up. When I buy this card, move the S token 1 space for every 2 progress on the age track. I could have played this one when the band plays on. When you buy this card, move the S token 1 space period. It's more powerful on the number, so that's why the effect is less. I kind of like having the effect for now because it moves the S tracker 1, 2, 3 because the S is at 6. I doubt it's going to go into this space. But this will combo really, really well with what I got coming out of my deck. And it is my go. I know exactly what's coming out because I only have 4 cards left. There it is. So let's see, give my other discard a shuffle. Let's see what I get coming out of it. Okay, one of those 2 Act Ups. So, but this might be the game. So it is my go, and I'm going to play Pride Parade. Let's do it. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get ourselves a D6. And take all of the dice in the dice pool and roll them. If I don't get 19 on this, I don't know what the odds are, but we'll see. Woohoo! 6 and 8 maximum, 14, 15, 19, 23, 24. So that is a full playthrough for Stonewall Uprising on the solo side. It is a poignant game. It is not a game that's going to deliver the belly laughs and the good feeling around the table from chucking dice and playing cards like you see a lot in the One Stop Co-op Shop, but it is poignant. It is evocative of emotion. It is dramatic. You get invested in individual cards, as I did with Martha B. Johnson. You get invested in the overall struggle. You get mad at the bot for, especially towards the end, being so powerful, so swingy, and I definitely felt I was a little bit out of control and just trying to do the best that I can with the smaller resources that I had. But that is a game style and it works. So I wanted to just leave it there and let you be the judge of whether this is a good fit for your gaming life and your gaming collection. This is Jason with the One Stop Co-op Shop, reminding you that we'll see you at the next stop.